Hello and welcome to Commander Snake. Today I'll be doing part 4 of my personal commander collection. Alright, first up we have Dorian, the Siege Tower. This guy is about using the butts of your creatures to attack for big. It has a tree folk theme to it. It uses tower defense to pump them up even further and tries to make them unblockable through Rogue's Passage and effects like that. Next up is Edric, Spymaster of Trest. This guy is a flying man tribal. By that I mean has creatures in it that cost 1 or 2 casting costs that can either fly or have some other type of evasion. So you can swing in and get Edric's ability to draw cards, and then you have your deck full of extra turn spells and regrow spells to get those extra turns back and just continuously attack with little dudes. Next up, we have Lindy, Cheerful Tormentor. This is my curse deck. Has all the curses available in Grixis colors in this deck. It can curse up one opponent pretty easily, pretty quickly, and then it has trouble getting those auras off, getting those curses off before they die, so they're permanently exiled, and then reapplying them to another opponent. It's fun, but it's really not very good. Next up, we have Caliph, Beloved of the Sea. This is about drawing as many cards as you possibly can to eventually drawing into a empty deck with lab man effects and chase the Wilder of Mysteries in play and winning when you draw into an empty deck that way. Tons of counter spells and things like that. Next up, we got Shattergang Brothers. Originally, I have this as a Super Friends and Jund deck where you had Planeswalkers and Jund colors. And then I switched it so we could actually utilizes Shattergang Brothers ability. Has creatures that are also enchantments, creatures that are also artifacts, and then sacrifices those, so you would have to sacrifice a creature or an artifact or enchantment, depending on the situation. Next up is Kalemne, Disciple of Ironus. This is a giant tribal deck. It has a Voltron theme to it as well. It uses the giants to get Kalemne's experience up, and then uses the swords to get through for damage. Next up is my Equipment Voltron deck. This uses the swords of X and Y to give it +2 and protection from X and Y. And then top deck manipulation, so you can get a excuse me, get a sword from the top of the deck instead of a land. And uses her ability so you can cast them from the top and then equip her for free. Next up is Shu Yun, the Silent Tempest. This was my Tiny Leaders deck when that existed. It still has the Spirit of Tiny Leaders in it. Everything in this deck is 3 CMC or less. And it runs the creatures like everything with prowess, like Monastery Swiftblade, Swift Spear rather, and Shu Yun to give them prowess. And then uses Shu Yun to give himself double strike or them double strike, and uses lots of cantrips so you can draw and refill your hand. Next up is Gulta, Primal Hunger. This is a Manadork travel deck where you play the Manadorks that have some power. So you can get like 2 for the reduction cost of Ghalta, and play as many of those quick as you can to power out Ghalta. And it is a 12/12 trample. Next up is Admiral Beckett Brass. This is a pirate deck, and it uses that thing to recruit your opponent's creatures over to your side, and then when they, through effects like Threaten, that is until end of turn, and then when they go back to your opponents, hopefully have an effect out to sacrifice them before they do go back, in true pirate fashion. Next up is Thantis, the Warweaver. This is about controlling combat, giving your opponent's creatures to attack with, and hopefully they do not attack into you, but they will. That's why we have fog effects and darkness and things like that. Next up is Kynos and Tiro of Malentis. This is my group hug deck that actually has win cons. It looks to let your opponents draw as many cards as you possibly can let them. Give them as much mana as you can possibly give them. And then it wins through Approach of the Second Sun. And there's a Kiki-Jiki combo in here as well. Next up is Najeela, the Blade Blossom. It's one of my only CDH commander decks. It uses effect like Derevi and Sword of Feast of Famine to attack and untap your lands. Using Najeela's ability to attack and do it again. And CDH deck has CDH stuff. I don't play CDH very much, but all right, I'll stop the video there, and I'll upload the next one very shortly. Thank you for watching Commander Snake. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.